What's up? Long time no see. What has it been? 8 months? My gosh. Still playing X-Wing. Still trying to grind the game. But this time I'm going to main First Order. And it's going to feature Major Von Reg, Kylo Ren, the Shuttle, and Breach as the bomber. And we're just gonna rock with that, and I'm gonna try and record as many matches and many analyses of pro players, well, let's say players who are playing the game, who are playing these top tier lists, and then analyzing my own games that are also playing the list. But let's pick up where we started. Before we begin, just want to say a shout out to Nickel City X-Wing for making this video and commentating this match. This game was of a standard length of 6 rounds. The scenario is salvage mission. Picking up an objective, and at the end of the round you score based on how many ships hold an objective. While a ship holds an objective, it cannot boost or barrel roll. And the only way to get an objective off a ship is either for it to suffer a crit, whether that be on shield or hull, or to simply be destroyed. If a cloaked ship picks up a crate, it immediately decloaks. On the First Order side, we have Major Von Reg with Magpulse warheads, Deuterium power cells, and Lone Wolf. Then we have Kylo Ren with Determination, Malice, Proton torpedoes. And lastly, we have 3 copies of Epicen Squadron Cadet. On the Republic side, we have Anakin Skywalker in the Ectis with Targeted Computer, Ion Cannon, Predator. Then we have Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Delta with Heightened Perception, Patience. Then we have Tano in the Delta with R7A7 Astromech, Heightened Perception. And lastly, the modifying ship 212 Battalion Pilot, 7th Fleet Gunner, Novice Technician. So what is the game plan and targets for each of these lists? Let's start with the Republic. So we have a very clear idea of Jedi Aces going do big modified attacks, and then 7th Fleet Gunner and the Battalion Pilot's pilot ability also helps modify the attack. So, and funnily enough, each one of these ships have pilot cards that say, let me help another person. So if Anakin is close to Obi-Wan when he's range 1 of a target, he can remove stresses, he can remove target locks, which is decently notable for Major Von Reg gets 3 target locks with Magpulse warheads. Kylo Ren has Proton torpedoes, so if Anakin gets a shed of lock from that, it's extremely high value. And then we obviously have Ahsoka Tano giving basically a free coordinate by spending 2 force. And then we have Obi-Wan giving out focuses, saving these force users forces, right? And then obviously the big one, which is very much so the selling point for this list, is the 7th Fleet Gunner and the Novice Technician. And quite clearly, who's the target for who do they want to destroy? They very much so are interested in any one of the 2 pilots, right? The TIE Fighters rolled 2 dice, so it's very high unlikeliness to actually hit the free agility force Jedi, right? But these bigger aces, yes, we want to get a kill on Major Von Reg and a kill on Kylo Ren. On the First Order side, when it comes to targets and game plan, we basically want to bump and slow down the enemy with these TIE fighters and relax into a good late game. Finish off with these two aces that outclass the Jedi. And then as for targets, the quite clear obvious one is the 1 agility 212 pilot. Once that pilot is down, the damage potential significantly goes down by how many dice rerolls it gets for free, the whole team. So yeah, Republic wants to kill one of the two aces, and First Order wants to get rid of that battalion pilot. Let's see how it plays out. Now before we begin, let's look at the obstacle placement as well as the ship deployment. So what stands out about this match? We have no obstacle in the middle. We have a big open area. And we also have a line of obstacles, one on the right of First Order, which you can see here, as well as a wall of obstacles near Republic's deployment zone, which we see right here. This game is using free gas clouds and free debris fields. What does this mean? This means this is going to be a very low punishment game for actually overlapping or going through obstacles. Why is this? So gas clouds, you go through them, you're not going to take any damage possibility. You're either going to get ioned, and then you're going to roll 1 out of 8 chance to get stressed. And on a debris field, if you go past it, you simply get a stress, and there's a 1 in 8 chance that you take a damage. So perhaps in the late game portion where people are low health, it needs to be taken into account that you're not actually going to get punished for going on these obstacles, right? So this big open space, I think, advantages the First Order here. Now when we're thinking about big spaces, what does this advantage? It advantages large base ships as well as swarms. But First Order is not versus swarms. In this unique scenario, even aces can make use of this by having ample room to barrel roll and boost. So this tells me that both players are like, yes, let us try and arc dodge each other and make use of our initiative. Then we have this long vertical wall right here, right, of obstacles, which basically means anyone on this joust, if they want to go towards the other place, they will have to turn in early. Because if you simply go too straight, now you can't do it, right? Now you can't make the choice. You have to too straight and then make your choice. Are you going to turn in early, or are you going to keep jousting? So there's a little bit of a zone here. And then we have this other, let's say, horizontal placement of obstacles. And this is basically Republic saying, I want to fly past these obstacles and ignore 50% of all possible collisions, all possible obstacles. Now talking about the ship deployment. So here we have a very classic Ace style of gameplay, right? We have the joust itself, designed to win the joust. We have the lone wolf on the opposite side of the board, and then usually we'd have like a control piece. So this would be like a bomber, or you could even say a support piece, I believe. But this is decently notable because once again, these two ships are highly mobile aces, so they're really going to make use of arc dodging close up and stuff. And obviously there's a nice, with how much space there is, a lot of arc dodging, a lot of K turn possibilities. And then if we look at the Republic side, we have a very non-spread out, there's no ace meeting Von Reg here, and I believe this is to leverage 212's battalion pilots bubble of rerolls it can have. So because this is on your team, you actually want your ships to be very close together, relatively speaking, to make use of enhanced effects. And also Ahsoka Tano gives free things, right, as well as Anakin Skywalker could get things from Obi-Wan. So it's very much so a supportive bubble here to make use of, and not just spread yourself around. First Order wins the initiative. Cadet Red does 5 straight into focus. Cadet Green does 4 straight into focus. Cadet Yellow does 4 straight into barrel to the right. Battalion Pilot does a 2 bank into focus. Ahsoka Tano does 4 straight into focus. Kylo Ren does 5 straight into target lock on Ahsoka Tano. Obi-Wan does 3 bank, then spends a force for a boost forward, then target locks Kylo Ren. Major Von Reg does 5 straight, then barrel rolls to the right. Anakin Skywalker does 5 straight, then boosts to the right. Shooting phase, the only damage taken was a proton torp onto Tano, losing her shields. Round 1 conclusion. As you can see from our perspective, if we look at the bottom side of the board, we see a line of rocks, line of debris, shall we say, that forced Anakin to turn in as discussed, which is going to bode a negative interaction of allowing these 2 TIE fighters to pick up these crates next turn, right? And another thing, we also discussed the kind of game plan with the battalion pilot, that he wants to stay together with the team, and yet he's drifting off to possibly correct this crate while facing a bad angle, hoping that too hard doesn't put him on an asteroid or something along those lines, on a gas cloud. But if he picks it up, it's only going to heighten the idea of, yes, destroy this ship, target this ship. And now looking at Ahsoka Tano, right? Shooting phase happened, and as expected, 2 dice plinkers did not do any damage to the free agility ones, but the proton torp did manage to catch Ahsoka Tano. And you can see with this list of Kylo Ren, we have a splash of alpha strike ability, of just being able to go 5 straight and do a target lock and not care for how your next turns are going to progress. But so far it definitely is looking First Order advantaged. First Order has half health Tano for 6 points. Score is 6-0. Republic win the initiative. Squadron Cadet Green does 5 straight and then picks up the objective. Squadron Cadet Yellow does 1 hard and then picks up the objective. Squadron Cadet does 3 bank and then takes a focus. Battalion Pilot does a 2 hard, landing on a gas cloud and taking an ion and a strain. Ahsoka Tano does a 1 bank to the right and takes a focus. Obi-Wan does a 1 bank to the left, crashing into an enemy ship, taking a stress focus. Kylo Ren does 2 hard, then boosts to the left. Anakin does 4 straight, then takes an evade. Major Vonreg does 2 straight, then fine-tune thrusters for a target lock onto Obi-Wan, and then barrels roll to the right, and he chooses to take a strain. Shooting phase, Kylo Ren takes 2 shields from a range 1 attack, and Ahsoka Tano also takes 1 damage from a range 1 attack. Round 2 conclusion. Another win for Republic wise in terms of how the round played out. As you can see, this feels very awkward for how Republic is able to move their ships, right? As predicted, the battalion pilot does 2 hard and lands on the gas cloud, unable to shoot, not ionized, needs 1 more for that, but it is strained. So predictably we'll have to do a blue maneuver to get rid of that strain. And then we have Ahsoka Tano and Obi-Wan. Because they came off at such a weird angle, I feel like Tano cannot leverage its boost and barrel rolling because it's a bit afraid of Kylo, which is a bit unlucky for Tano, right? Winning the initiative on this side. But I feel like what was really a good move by the First Order was using their TIE fighter to block Obi-Wan's movement. If Obi-Wan was able to use any action at once, it's going to very easily follow this TIE fighter for a juicy range 1 attack with a fully moddedness happening. So I think that was very good with the blockage, and we're even in position to make the battalion pilot's day even more terrible. And also notice how it chooses focus and not picks up the crate. I definitely feel like with this point system, trying to lap up the objectives, as long as you've got more than you have, it crates is more of a late game concept, even more so. But another extremely good play by the First Order was this 2 straight target lock, get the value in, but the barrel roll. This very long range arc dodging barrel. As you can see, Anakin's arc is not in Major Vonreg, nor is Tano. And if he didn't barrel roll, they both have range 2 shots on him, so that was very good. What's even more interesting is the Kylo Ren movement. Kylo Ren is in perfect position to get a Talon, a stressful Talon, towards the left, pouncing on multiple targets. And now it's mainly how do we predict and deal with Anakin, right? And guess his system phasing and stuff. But yeah, looking quite advantageous. We still First Order still contesting 2 points. Yeah, Obi-Wan, Tano, and the 7th Fleet gonna have to play to catch Major Vonreg while avoiding this TIE fighter. First Order contests more objectives than the Republic, contesting 2 objectives compared to Republic 0. Meaning they score more points, so that equals 4 extra points. Score is 10-0. Republic win the initiative. Battalion pilot does a 2 hard to the right, and then for its action it chooses to rotate its gun. Ahsoka does a 2 hard, then focus. Obi-Wan does a 1 hard, and bumps into an enemy ship of Kylo, taking a stress focus. Kylo does a free Talon, gaining a stress. Anakin does a 4K, gaining a stress. Because he is range 1 alone, 1v1, he can remove the stress for a force. He then takes a focus. Vonreg does a 1 hard. Thrusters for a barrel roll. Then takes focus. Major Vonreg does 1 hard. Then thrusters for a barrel roll. Gaining a strain. Then taking a target lock onto Anakin. Shooting phase. Anakin Skywalker does a system phase barrel roll to the left. Anakin Skywalker does a system phase barrel roll to the left. Epson Pilot Green does a 1 hard to the left focus. Epson Squadron Cadet Yellow does a 2 bank focus. And Epson Squadron Cadet Red does a 1 hard focus. Shooting phase, both cadets remove a shield. The Cadet Red and Cadet Yellow, and Yellow did take a crit onto that shield, dropping the crate behind him. Obi-Wan lost all shields, and surprisingly, Anakin took no damage. So those were the activations and shooting. Now for the conclusion. Another good round for First Order. Only meaningful shots are on TIE fighters, and they only lose shields. However though, the Yellow Squadron Cadet did manage to get a crit onto its shield, making it drop its objective behind it. Yeah, it's really surprising though how the Red Cadet only took 1 damage and Anakin only took no damage, which is very fortunate. Target locks and focuses have the same probability, and Major Vonreg wasn't getting shot at, so it was basically the same concept except a higher ceiling. But you can really see the power of this open space, right? Open spaces don't just give power to swarms and large base ships. It also allows aces to dodge multiple arcs at once. Of course, when you're versing these large ships and these formations and these alpha strike lists, you do not want to give them such an open area to dominate in. But in this ace versus ace matchup, we've seen some nice free Talon by Kylo and a nice 1 hard barrel roll by Major Vonreg. Now Kylo, all he has to do is go 2 straight and just have good results on either Tano or the true target, which is the battalion pilot. Definitely going to be paying attention to possible thrusters into boosts and all this good stuff. Boosts into thrusters, I mean. And this is how you kill these aces for future references in games. You got to predict decay turns, you got to predict the Talons, and you're just going to see good results from that. However though, Anakin did a really good showcase of its pilot ability, being able to do a big K-turn maneuver, and then because there's no allies around him, only enemies, he can remove the stress for a force, taking a focus. which is basically the true reason why he really didn't take any damage, did not have to spend any force. But yeah, nothing really much to say. We're gonna see a really nice Major Vonreg, one hard, hopefully not getting initiatived by this forcing a bump onto Anakin, and we're gonna see a nice, no crazy flying post K-turn Talon 2 straight. Let's continue. First Order has half health Obi-Wan for 7 points, going from 10 to 17. First Order contests more objective than the opponent, gaining 4 points, going from 17 to 21. Score is 21 to 0. Republic win the initiative. Major Vonreg does a 1 hard to the right. Thrusters for a barrel to the right, gaining a strain. Then performs a boost to the left, arc dodging Anakin. System phase. Because Anakin is in Vonreg's bullseye, Vonreg chooses to give Anakin a deplete. Squadron Cadet Yellow does a 2-bank focus. Squadron Cadet Green does a 2-bank focus. Red Cadet tries to do a 1 hard, but has no space to move, taking a stress focus. Battalion Pilot does a 3-bank pass a gas cloud. Rolls a dice, gets a blank so no ion, but is guaranteed a strain. Then chooses for its action to pick up an objective. Tano does a 1-bank, 1 hard right, then takes a focus. Kylo does a predictable 2 straight forward. Kylo does a predictable 2 straight forward. Takes a target lock onto Tano, then does a thrusters onto Tano for range 1. A thrusters boost to the left. Stressful. Anakin does a purple maneuver to the right of him, but does not remove the deplete. Then he spends another force to take a target lock onto Major Vonreg. Actually no, he doesn't. Anakin does a purple maneuver of 2 Talon, not removing the deplete as it can't do that. Then takes a target lock. Targeted computer means it doesn't have to be force. As you can see, kind of obvious that Tano would die to double range 1 shots. Although what was crazy was seeing the TIE fighter doing 3 damage to Obi-Wan range 1, taking him out as well. Very much so in the lead for First Order to close this game out. Round 4 conclusion. Even with that purple maneuver, although it was a bit unfortunate because he is losing initiative to Vonreg by going first, but Vonreg is just dodging the heck out of Anakin. And if there's one problem I see with this match so far, is you're not really seeing these free boosts from the deltas, which is kind of their whole selling point, right? But when you're moving first every round against same initiative or higher initiative ships, then you can't really leverage that reactional repositioning. So the remainder of the points from destroying Tano and Obi-Wan was 14. 14 plus 21 brings us to 35. Battalion Pilot contests an objective, and a TIE fighter on the First Order side contests an objective, meaning both teams score 2 points. making the total for round 4 37-2, First Order winner. First Order wins the initiative. Anakin does a 1 hard that is white, not removing the deplete, and takes a focus. TIE Fighter Red does a 2 hard blue, then barrel rolls to the right. TIE Fighter Yellow does a 2 hard blue, then picks up an objective. TIE Fighter Green does a 4 straight and takes a focus. Kylo does a 2 bank blue, removing a stress, then takes a target lock onto the battalion pilot. Major Von Reg does a 2 sloop, gaining a stress. A TIE Fighter also loses a shield. Round 5 shooting phase. Battalion pilot goes from 8 hull and 2 shields all the way down to just 2 hull. And Kylo Ren does lose 2 hull from the range 1 attack from Anakin. Round 5 conclusion. Yep, Republic is just gonna bleed to death slowly. But you still see some good decisions despite the negativity, right, of losing. Not tilting by any means. Anakin landed a pretty damn good range 1 shot on Kylo, which the ceiling is Kylo either gets 1-shotted or at least a crit gets through. But only 2 hull. 2 hull is pretty expected. It's not as extreme as getting no damage through, which is definitely a thing that can happen Force user versus Force user. But yeah, he kind of needed the crit to swing. And as you can see, we're not, even with 2 ships left, we're not trying to kill the 3 hull Jedi. We're trying to kill the 10 health medium base ship. And as you can see, it's working its way in. It's probably just a simple case of setting up kill boxes. Maybe Kylo Ren does a K turn here. Major Von Reg does a 3 straight perhaps. Like Anakin probably just has to like try and play the best he can. Maybe take out one of the 3 health TIE fighters. Maybe block Major Von Reg. But yeah, it's just a matter of time now. Kylo Ren got half healthed for 9 points, bringing Republic from 2 to 11, not contesting any objectives. Then we have the battalion pilot getting half health for First Order, plus 5 onto 37 equals 42. Then you controls more objectives, so plus 4 equals 46. The score is 46 to 11, First Order winner. First Order win the initiative. Anakin does a 4K, spending a force to remove the stress, then gaining a focus. System phase, Anakin does a barrel roll to the right. TIE Fighter Red does a 1 hard focus. TIE Fighter Green does a 2 hard focus. TIE Fighter Yellow does a 1 hard focus. Battalion Pilot does a 2 hard to the left, staying stressed, bumping into an enemy ship. Kylo Ren does a 2 straight, bumping into an ally ship, staying there. Major Von Reg does a 2 straight, taking a strain, gaining a focus to get a target lock onto the battalion pilot. Round 6 conclusion. Yeah, only a matter of time. With wounded pilot and fuel leak, which I forgot to mention, it's going to stay perma stress, and 1 crit guarantees death on 1 agility. So not really much hope versus 4 shots. And surprisingly, Anakin getting 2 range 1 fully modded Predator focus shots and not getting a single crit, which is a bit unfortunate. But he does manage to get a half health on Major Vonreg, pushing to 18 points. But with the rest of the points and the crates difference, that pushes First Order to a nice, powerful 62 points. 12 more than he needs to win. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Expect more to come.